Okay guys, I took off the gear along with the speed sensor. That's what the gear look like, is that black piece right there. And I'm gonna show you guys when I take it off. Okay, I just take this gear off. I just took it off from the transmission. Basically it's like that. Okay, it's on with the speed sensor that I had this on earlier. I had this out earlier, and this speed sense, this this gear right here, it was inside the transmission. I don't think you guys can see it with the camera here, but it's, it's where the speed sensor off. And basically this gear, this is a plastic piece of plastic black gear that's go down into the transmission gear. It rolls with the transmission gear. That's how this gear gonna roll. And when this gear roll turns, it will turn this gauge, this whatever this called is a pin right here. So that when this turns, it will send signal. This little palm right here, when it turns, when the gear turns, this thing turns, and when it turns, it'll send signal to the harness wire. That's why you see me checking the when I check this speed sensor earlier with my multimeter and check the voltage, how it's when it's running. When I turn this thing, that's when it provides power and voltage to the harness. And so it sends to the harness right here. And when it sends to the harness sends the sensor to the PCM, telling how much I'm going, how fast I'm going, how fast I'm driving with my car, 20 mile per hour or what. So that's what it does. And guys, I just did some research and called some people up, called my friend about this thing. Is They just say it's pretty much going to be a bad sensor, or it's going to be a bad sensor, or my odometer reading inside like a little gear like I told you guys, the plastic gear that's not working inside a dash odometer, or it's something else like the cluster. Okay, he says like a cluster problem, so I might have to change the cluster, like, the little cluster that's telling me how fast I'm going. I might have to change that because sometimes it goes off because it's old. And I hope it's just the cluster or just the sensor, so it'll be under 100 or so. With the cluster, it will be like 150 or 2 at the most. That's all I hope. I hope it's not going to be the PCM here. Anything with the harness wire or computer. And my friend told me it's not going to be the PCM really. It's most likely going to be the sensor, the speed sensor, or the odometer, that the cluster odometer inside my interior, that needs to replace. And once it replaced, then it should get back to work again, like before. So I hope that's it. I hope that's gonna be just the problem right there to solve. But really, I might have to get me a new sensor soon. I call O'Reilly, like I say, I call O'Reilly, and I thought about it because they don't let me return. All the parts. If you buying like electrical parts, they won't let you return. So that's considered makes me rethink that should I buy right now? Should I order right now? Because right now I'm not really ready to order yet until I really test out and know the real problem. Then I'll order it. But for now, I'm gonna keep it on hold. I'm not gonna ready to order yet until after one more check. I called my friend. He was talking about the scanning tool, because when I scan the scanning tool that I use to find out the code, there's an option in the scanner. I don't know if my scanner, because I have a cheap scanner, I don't know if that scanner will able to tell me the RPM, how fast I'm going, and all that. But I thought I saw it on there too. But when I see it, um, most of the time I park, so I didn't really pay attention about the RPMs, in onto the scanner. When I drive it, I should look into the scanner, and the scanner should plug up in my OBD too. Okay, and I didn't really check on that. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna reinstall this sensor back on. Yes, that's a pain too, because I had to reinstall this sensor back, this old sensor back, and plug in my OBD2 scanner onto my car and go for a test ride and look at the scanner RPM, see how fast it's going and all that, see if that's working. If it's not working, then some other problem might be causing that. Is either, you know, um, I'm having a bad speed sensor or whatsoever, whatever is next. I'm gonna call my friend and tell him, if the scanner RPM is not running, then what's the problem? He will know. But most likely, if the RPM on the scanner when I drive it and it's not running, it's not jumping, like it's not telling me how fast I'm going, most likely it's gonna be the replace of the speed sensor. Okay, and I doubt it's the cluster, and I doubt it's gonna be the harness wire or the PCM because he says it's not it. Even though I told him about the voltage is low compared to the YouTube guy that checked the harness wire on his end, but I got voltage and power on my end. It's just that one part is low, like it's 6 point, and it's 6 point something volt on the yellow wire. And my friend told me that's because the sensor um, that's because the sensor is not good. But I checked my harness wire without the sensor connected in, so I don't know if he really know or not. But I'm going to do the last check. Is I'm going to install the sensor back on and plug in my OBD2 scanner and go for a ride and look at the RPM on the scanner, um, where when I scan it, it should throw back the code, the P500 code too, and I should check on the other part where it's a RPM. I think it's on the freeze mode, or I can't remember. There's like four options where you can go onto the scanner and check, check your car when you once I had it connected. So yeah, guys. So all that is kind of like for nothing to me. I gotta take out my intake, take out the battery, plug everything like that back on. I can't do any rewiring right now at this point because I gotta finish up the sensor here. I gotta test the sensor. So I did tell you guys that I'm gonna rewire and all that at some point, but that's gonna be on another video because I gotta relocate the wire. Because my wiring, it's just all over the place. Like um, I need to organize it, like put it together. Some of the bolts on the hanger here is kind of off, so I really need to do that again. But it's gonna be the next time, okay? So now for all those work there, I'm gonna have to reinstall the speed sensor back again, and hopefully it works. And I forgot to ask him, it's okay that I put my transmission in gear on first gear already, and I took it off. And I didn't really have time to ask him about this broken. You see this right here? Yeah, it's supposed to have a little hook right there on that white plastic piece where it hangs. Like here it is. Okay, so that's what it looked like. So that hanger, that broken hanger, should hang right there on the gear while the gear is spinning. So really, that hanger broke, but it really doesn't matter because it's still gonna spin anyway. So it's okay for that hanger to break. But the next time, I should remember this as an experience. I should take out the gear along with the sensor because so if I take this sensor without the gear, that's why it's causing this hook to break because I'm not taking the gear off. And taking the gear off with the sensor is not easy, guy, because the gear is just fitting the transmission hole like right on. So it's kind of I have to wiggling it to take the gear off. So that's why it makes this hook right here breaks off the sensor from the gear. Like, so next time I notice this, I need to take the gear along with the sensor. So I do need to put it in neutral instead of first gear. That's just my experience. I don't know about other people, or I should ask my friend about this too. Should I put it in gear when I take off take off my speed sensor with the gear or not? So that's my question I should ask him and most of you guys on YouTube here if you notice that. Alright guys, so yeah, this is another video part about my speed sensor. So now I'm just gonna reinstall it and scan it, go for a test ride and see what happened, and then call my friend and go on from there. Probably I have to buy a new speed sensor, or you know, take off my whole dash here to replace a new cluster. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just the gear inside the cluster that's breaking. That's why it's causing my odometer not reading or jumping. But even though if that breaks, it's not gonna prevent my needle where it's telling me how fast I'm going. I don't think that's going to prevent that from working. You know, the little white gear thing inside of the cluster, that's just for the odometer. That's jumping the miles. That's it. It's got nothing to do with the needle. I don't think so. It might got something to do with the what you call that? With the accelerate cable, you know, or the cluster cable. That's what really I need to look into, and it's somewhere around there, going into the interior cluster. I have not checked to that part yet. My friend probably know about it, and that in worst case, then I'm gonna drive to his place to have him check it. After I scan it and all that, I'm gonna have to drive to him then, before I even order me a new sensor. Okay, that's the story right there, guys. So, but the car should be drivable. Okay, even though you got the speed sensor, unplug it. The car will still drive. Okay, but it's just that you're gonna see code and maybe check engine lights. But remember, even though if the speed sensor harness wire is off, you can still drive the car. Okay, I can still drive my car like that, but I need to reinstall the sensor back on with the gear and bolt it on. That's because if you don't, then oil will splash all over. Okay, so definitely need to install the gear back on with the sensor and bolt it down. It's just one bolt, and I really don't need to plug the harness wire in if I don't want to, but I'm just gonna do it just, you know, just to be on the safe side. All right, okay guys, that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. See what happened next. Follow me, subscribe my channel, like it if you think it's helped you, and stick around guys, stay tuned. I'll see you on the next one.